by Riverside.
It's the first time in a little bit you've heard that music. It's the 4th and 1 podcast brought to you by you guys, the listeners. Live from Lancaster, Linus, Pennsylvania. It's your boy, Fancy Trash Can, sitting next to Captain Boring. Yes, we did give ourselves nicknames. Sorry, Mom. But we don't care. Yes, we're two white guys. Oh, the V-neck is showing hardcore right now for me. It's been a hot minute since we've been here. We had a lot of fun talking about ChatGPT and some other fun bits and pieces about what's going on in the sports world. And yeah, I don't really got anything else for you guys regarding that. So here we are. It's been a hot second. Micaiah, how's it going?
What it do, baby? How's it going?
What it do, baby? Exactly. So I think there's about one thing, and then we're going to BS the rest of the episode, and I'm going to try to wake up a little bit for you guys. The consensus number 1 overall pick was arrested today. Did you read that article?
The number 1 overall prospect. So, if the Bears, if they needed him, they would probably take Jalen Carter. Yes, I don't know that he's the consent. He's not like Bryce Young. Like Bryce Young, every team would take Bryce Young, right? Not every team would take Jalen Carter, but Jalen Carter's the best athlete. But yes, he was. There was a warrant out for his arrest. I don't think he's been officially arrested yet.
Oh, it's just a warrant. So that's even.
It's just a warrant, yeah. So a few months ago, for those of you who don't know, right after the national championship game, a former player and current staff member of the national champions, Georgia Bulldogs, died in a traffic accident.
I'm in danger.
It is then uncovered sometime later that Jalen Carter, the D-tackle, was at the scene, lied to police about what was going on, fled the scene before they could get more information, and the warrant for his arrest has been issued for reckless driving and street racing.
Oh.
So, for those of you that are conspiracy theorists, you can put 2 and 2 together. Jalen Carter and this other person were out street racing. Something happened. There was an accident. This other guy died. Jalen Carter freaked out because now his buddy died and he was involved. And now there's a warrant out for his arrest. And it's going to cost him millions of dollars because he goes from top 5 to, well, depending on how bad this gets, maybe even not drafted. It would be a steal. Like if you could sign him undrafted or get him in the 5th round for this.
So they're not going for manslaughter, right?
No, he's not being charged. I don't think he's being charged with murder.
So they more just want to know what's going on. I don't think they'd even be able to prove. Okay, something I learned recently, as I take off my glasses because they're filthy. If you kill somebody, that's only 4 points on your license in the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, all right.
So you can straight up body
with your car, yeah.
Give the forever L, one could say. And, yep, you're not getting your license suspended for a single day. You'll have a $200 fine, but okay. So it's. I thought this was much worse than it sounds like.
So the Associated Press, which alleges Carter was racing his 2021 Jeep Trackhawk. What the heck is a Trackhawk?
That's the 800 horsepower. I think it's the
sport
Jeep.
Against a 2021 Ford Expedition. Who races a Ford Expedition? Driven by recruiting staffer 24-year-old Chandler LaCroix, which led to the 2015 wreck. The Atlantic Journal-Constitution reported that Carter was present at the scene of the crash and later provided shifting accounts of the wreck to police.
So the Trackhawk has a V8 in it. So Dodge, everybody's, going hybrid and going electric and that sort of stuff. This is what I'm going to focus on the story, yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And Dodge said, you know what, screw it. We're just going to make the opposite. So we're going to make gas-powered V8 muscle cars. And the Trackhawk was one of them. And they were doing it for a lot of the things in their line. I think they even did like a Dodge Grand Caravan sort of deal. It's a 6.2 liter V8. It generates 707 horsepower and 645 pound-foot of torque. Goes 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds in an SUV.
Okay, so it's like an unneeded thing.
The fact that he wasn't the one who died is like the more impressive part.
So reckless driving and racing, which is what he's going to be charged with, are both misdemeanors in Georgia.
Yeah, and he probably gets a couple points. Like, his license will be suspended, but boo-hoo.
So, yeah, I mean, but he goes from first overall pick to bottom of the first round.
Well, what he's going to get tagged with, maybe second or third. It depends how his combine and how his meetings are, and obviously the NFL has changed the way that they do. Changed the stupid thing to try to get that they used to do in order to get players to break. Sorry, fixing my microphone. They changed some of that, but the question is how he interviews. I think because he'll probably be if he doesn't do any jail time, which he probably will not. Assuming he turns himself in, which would be the smart thing to do if you want to make a lot of money in the NFL. It depends how he interviews, because what he's going to get tagged at is a problem, right? Last thing you want to do is pay this guy whatever $3 million a year, $2 million a year, whatever it is now in the NFL for a rookie second, third rounder, and all of a sudden he hits and kills somebody like the Raiders guy, doing way too fast in a Trackhawk, his first or second year, and now you lost that investment, basically. At the end of the day, you lost that resource.
Sure.
Let alone then someone else is killed.
And that's the whole point of the combine. The problem is that I have with Jalen Carter is Todd McShay came out right after the national champion and said he would not take Jalen Carter first overall because there's character issues. And then, of course, the internet lit him up because they found out that Jalen Carter used his NIL money to support a teammate who wasn't on scholarship, right? So they were like, oh, sounds like character issues with me. Well, then it comes out today that Jalen Carter is lying to police, right?
Yeah.
At minimum, he's lying to police. My biggest problem of why I wouldn't take Jalen Carter first overall or anywhere in the top 5, is the fact that his motor just turns on and off at the flip of a switch.
From an athletic perspective, not from his car perspective.
Oh yeah, well, no pun intended. When I watched Georgia, it wasn't Jalen Carter who popped on the screen.
Yeah,
it's almost like me and Robert were talking about this. It's almost like Jadeveon Clowney or Kayvon Thibodeau. They had one really good season, and then they just kind of shut it down. The problem with Jalen Carter that I found was Jalen Carter didn't have a great season. Jalen Carter was the guy behind Jordan Davis when Jordan Davis was doing what Jordan Davis does, and now he's a Philadelphia Eagle. He didn't have a great season and then kind of like coast into the NFL, turn off the motor. He would come in, dominate for a play or two, and then just disappear. And he would do this. He did that for 15 games. I did not see him play with full motor at any single point this entire season.
You could point a guy out in a lineup and I'd yep, that's him, sure. Whatever you want. I have no idea who this guy is. I think the cornerback position is one of the hardest positions to, in my opinion, to scout because of all of the variables, right? So not every wide receiver is equal. Not every scheme is equal, and then let alone, right? Like A.J. Brown is a great example of this. 16 out of the 18 games that he played, he was the dude. Well, wrong. It was, I had him on my fantasy team. So 13 out of the 19 games that he played, or 18, however many it is now, that he played, he was the dude. I traded him because Philly stopped throwing him the ball. The last 2 games, he gets an uptick. Then they don't throw him the ball like at all in the playoffs until the last 2 games. And then he tears it up. Well, you would think, was that because the corner was shutting him down? Was that just because Jalen Hurts was throwing it to Dallas Goedert and
Devontae
Smith? Shut up. I heard it in your voice. I heard it. And was throwing it to, who knows? But so what type of stats do you get from that perspective, if that makes sense?
What position does Jalen Carter play?
Cornerback?
No, wrong.
Is he a safety?
Nope.
Is he a defensive end?
Nope.
Where does he play?
Closer though, D tackle.
Wait, we're talking about a defensive tackle? So
yes,
I
we're
just
talking
went
about
on a whole spiel about.
You sure did. You absolutely did, and I just let it happen because I knew that it would make for good content. Because you have absolutely, no. I mean, you did warn people. You have no idea who Jalen Carter is.
I could have sworn I saw somewhere that he was playing cornerback. Who is drafting a defensive tackle number 1 overall? Name me one who is not a middle linebacker / defensive tackle. Name me one all-time great.
A defensive tackle?
That position, the nose tackle position.
Vince Wilfork?
Who the F is Vince Wilfork?
All-time great Patriot. Played for Texans a little bit. You also have Warren Sapp. He's a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer. I know the name. I don't know.
William Refrigerator Perry.
He was a defensive tackle?
Yes, dude.
Okay, hold up. You're naming guys whose defensive tackle job was to sit there and be fat.
Well, yes, that's the main job of defensive tackle. Defensive tackle back then is very different from defensive tackle now.
Okay, let's say in the modern era, who's the guy? Is it Fletcher Cox who's the defensive tackle for the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean you also have like Warren Sapp. He's like the ultimate modern defensive tackle who would stuff the run but also get after the quarterback.
Ndamukong Suh was also a defensive tackle technically, but he ran a lot of 4-3s. So
3-4s. So they could put him either at tackle or at end. Yeah. J.J. Watt technically was a defensive tackle when he came out, and then kind of again when you play in a 3-4 scheme, so 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, you can kind of move your defensive linemen around.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't really necessarily. The edge guys are the ones who are known to be quick and get after the quarterback.
Sure.
That's my opinion. I mean, technically they played. Is it Rashawn Gary?
Yeah, they played him at nose tackle.
And he's playing nose tackle for. It was the Packers. I think he.
Now he plays defensive end, and I think it's still for the Packers. But again, it's the college game is very different. When you're a monster in college, they'll line you up anywhere where the weakness is. So if you're an end, but you're big enough to play tackle, they'll put you at tackle if the guard center guard combo for the team you're playing sucks. In the NFL, that doesn't work. You're kind of stuck at either position. But now it's almost now in the NFL like positionless defensive line, where as long as you're a good enough athlete, they'll put Brandon Graham on the inside and they'll put Fletcher Cox on the outside sometimes, the Philadelphia Eagles and Graham's an end and Cox is a defensive tackle. I know how that sounds.
Wow,
Cox is a tackle.
He finally, I remember when, so he was, now, Rashawn Gary was a beast in Michigan. Sorry, I have to go back here. I had to look up his stats. And
Well-
I say he was a beast in Michigan, right? It was Harbaugh's big get, right? He came in 2016. Harbaugh took
Yeah.
over 2015 or in
Yep.
2016. So Harbaugh took
Yeah.
over 2015. First recruiting class.
Yep.
Gets the number 1 overall player. And I remember everybody at Michigan's like, oh, here we go. He's back. He can recruit. We're going to win everything. And he's actually listed as an outside linebacker right now. Sorry, for the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Which makes sense. And then he gets in and he makes some good plays, but he's playing, I call it the 3. It's not, but it's that middle position. He's playing the 2 in a 3 in a 3-4 in a 4-3, sorry. But everybody's double teaming him. Everybody's throwing a double team on him, which opened up the defense for Makai, who am I thinking of?
Which opened up the defense for...
It was the defensive tackle who played next to him all the time. Not the defensive tackle, defensive end. Or the linebacker. He had all the sacks.
Oh, Chase Winovich.
Yes. He was one of them. Who played opposite
okay.
Chase Winovich?
Josh Uche.
No. Before Josh Ute.
Oh, my goodness. Now you're really testing
Come
my
on.
knowledge. There was Carlos Kemp.
Do I need to look up the 2017 Michigan defense?
You might have to because there was. I honestly don't even know who you're talking about.
Wow. Okay. It might have been a linebacker, so I might be giving you bad information.
But Rashawn Gary, you bring up a good point. Rashawn Gary had the same problem that I feel like Jalen Carter had. Like when I expect a defensive whoever, right?
Right.
If I'm going to draft a defensive lineman or a defensive player, I want a high motor guy who does things the right way and who pops on tape. When you turn on Aiden Hutchinson's tape, his senior year, he was coming after you every single play. He produced. He had a high motor, high work ethic. You turn on the tape for Jadeveon Clowney's junior year, had a high motor when he wanted to, had a work ethic when he wanted to, and produced when he wanted to. Like, I'm not going to take a defensive lineman that's not going to produce. Like, Brian Brzee, he's the nose tackle for Clemson. I would much rather have Brian Brzee over Jalen Carter. Don't give me talent, don't give me tape, don't give
Devin
me...
Bush is who I'm thinking of.
Okay, well, he was the middle linebacker for Michigan. But
I told you it might be the linebacker. Okay?
All right. Brian Brzee has the work ethic, has the production, has the leadership quality, and unfortunately, this is going to sound really bad, he has the family tragedy that makes him a better person, that keeps his nose to the grindstone and grinding. I'd much rather have Brian Brzee than Jalen Carter, and it's not even close to me.
Who is Brian Brzee?
Brian Brzee is the nose tackle for Clemson.
Oh.
And he's just as talented and...
All right, we're going to look at a 2023 mock draft because Simeon doesn't know enough stuff.
No, he doesn't, but let's see what Tabitha says. Okay, Tabitha, guess what? No one cares that your dog is dumb.
Oh, look at that. Tabitha has a dumb dog. Shocker.
Half on, half off, everybody.
All right, let's see. Number 1, Jalen Carter. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Chicago Bears do not need defensive help.
First of all, the Chicago Bears need to trade out of that pick.
Yes, the Chicago Bears need tools for Justin
listen,
Fields, who improved a ton this past season.
In my opinion, there are 2 quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
That are draftable that I could see end up being. It's C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. And Robert would say, who's the last good Ohio State quarterback? I get it, okay? But C.J. Stroud, if he uses his legs a little more, he'll be fine. He's a good, accurate passer. And Bryce Young. They both have their flaws. Bryce Young, his only flaw is that he's a certified little person, okay? He's like 5'11" and 195 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay? He's so tiny. And C.J. Stroud doesn't run. If C.J. Stroud used his leg more, Harbaugh would be 0-7 against Ohio State because of just the way that those games went. Anyway, I digress. If you're Chicago, the Colts are trying to move up to 1. Take your pick. Any team in the top 10 is trying to move up to 1 to get Bryce Young, who needs a quarterback, except for Philadelphia, who has their quarterback. Trade out of that pick. Get that draft pick. Get a first-round pick next year. Get a second next year, and you're good. Now you're set up for the future. You got 2 first-round picks. Get out of that first overall pick, move down a little bit, and take a left tackle, because you're right. They do not need defensive help.
They do not need defensive help. They need...
Khalil Mack couldn't save it. You really think someone with a drag racing habit is going to?
Probably not going to be on your team in 2 years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Houston Texans number 2, Bryce Young. Here's the deal. DeMarco Ryans dude. D'Amico?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it, yeah.
Did I say DeMarco?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely D'Amico.
Okay, great.
D'Amico Ryans. I look like a racist asshole, by the way. I can't pronounce black guys' names to save my... I can pronounce black ladies' names, but I cannot pronounce black guys' names to save my life. I promise I am not racist.
No, you're just sexist, so it's fine.
No, I'm just an uncultured swine who can't pronounce other languages. I swear.
Or you're just a little dyslexic, I guess.
Talked. A little talked, if you get what I'm saying. So, Bryce Young, Houston Texans. Okay, D'Amico Ryans, great defensive coach. Played for the Eagles, funny enough. Also played for the Texans, so he's back.
Yep.
Was under Mike Shula's Alabama. That's who he played for. Remember that name? No one does. And
that's nice. Unfortunately, if Bryce Young ends up in Houston, that's just a recipe for disaster.
That's where they're going to put him.
Houston hasn't been good. Ever.
Well, yeah, so here's the issue. You and I have harped on this for forever. Houston's issue is very large.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a good head coach is a start. The issue is he's a defensive head coach.
Yeah.
So you're going to bring in a new quarterback. That means you have to bring in. Well, Matt Weiss is now open. You have to bring in a good quarterback coach who can develop him, and a good offensive coordinator who has a good scheme that can fit Bryce Young's. You have to build the offense around him if you bring him in.
Well, and your offensive line is garbage, which is what you don't want
entire
around a
offense is
5'11" quarterback.
Listen, I'm not joking. I kind of want relegation between the CFL and the NFL. Make people go play the Saskatchewan. Make them do it.
I think you got a better shot of the XFL and the NFL, which I'm down for.
I get rid of these shitty teams and make the owners actually do something with their lives. Like at this point, the owners just seem lazy. At least Jerry Jones seems like he tries to do something.
Not as lazy as baseball owners, but yeah, I get your point.
Well, 100%, but that's beside the point. Baseball itself needs a whole rebrand. Okay, Will Anderson Jr., pick number 3 to the Cardinals. I don't hate this because they just lost J.J. Watt.
I don't hate this either because they do need defensive help. And Jonathan Gannon, who was the Eagles' defensive coordinator, is the head coach there now. Well, what are you going to do with Kyler Murray? He's an immature toddler.
That makes 2 black head coaches.
So if you're sitting at 3 of Arizona, right, and you're thinking, all right, well, I could just give Chicago the number 3 for number 1 and maybe a 2 next year or something like that. Get him, or maybe DeAndre Hopkins. You say, Chicago, I'll give you the number 1 overall pick and this for DeAndre Hopkins. Then you go get Bryce Young. At least Bryce Young is more mature than Kyler Murray at this point. You trade Kyler Murray to whatever team wants him. And we'll take him. And then you get Bryce Young, a mature Bryce Young in Arizona, and you get rid of Kyler Murray and that headache.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who is the offensive coordinator for the... I look like such a racist asshole today. Who is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs currently? Well, was. the offense.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, didn't he just get? Did he just get a
He
job?
just got the he just got the OC job in DC with the Commanders.
He just switched teams.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why he isn't a head coach. Something else is going on.
Something else has to be going on there. Mannheim Central grad Matt Nagy is back in the offense coordinator position.
It doesn't matter. Andy Reid calls plays anyway.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And maybe that's why he switched. Maybe he wanted play calling abilities. So I got him and Jonathan Gannon mixed up. And a little bit of D'Amico Ryans. So that's cool. So moving on, because that's more important. I don't hate Will Anderson. I agree with you. In my opinion, like, you should trade Kyler Murray. I think that is a. I didn't think you should got rid of Josh Rosen. Poor guy, but again, we saw him, Josh Rosen, and who was he plays the quarterback. I'm sorry, guys. I've had a very long day, so my memory isn't good. Quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. They are the same player.
Yeah, I mean, they kind
Josh
of are.
Rosen and Jared Goff looked when I saw their tape. What was that? 2016, 2017 when they came out, right? Everybody was trying to make a big deal, but everybody kind of knew they were trying to get excited about mid. Basically, this was like that was the Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen. There were no exciting quarterback prospects.
Yeah, it's like marijuana
in
in the 70s. You get excited over mids.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So he just needed developed, and so I feel bad for him because they brought a new head coach who liked Kyler Murray because he ran fast and looked weird when he ran. You ever notice he just runs with his hips?
What?
He's just like
He runs like a toddler. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's an experiment that's gone wrong, and he needs to go play backup for somebody.
I would take Will Anderson before I take Jalen Carter.
I agree with you, and I think it's still think it's a good pickup. And this is someone else's. Who is this? This is Bucky Brooks.
Okay, so who's that? So who's after the Cardinals?
C.J. Stroud to the Colts.
Okay, see now I like that.
Who took the Colts head coaching job?
That would be the Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen.
So the Eagles lost both of their coordinators?
Yeah.
Damn. Who did they bring in?
They elevated their quarterback coach Brian Johnson, and they brought in someone from outside.
Runs defensive coach Sheen Desi.
Desi. Sure.
I don't know. And
I don't know where he came from.
Brian Johnson. Yes, you were right. And Sean came from the Seattle Seahawks. He was the he was the assistant head coach and defensive assistant.
Oh, okay. Well,
he came from the Bears before that, and he played football at BC, Columbia, and Temple. BU, Columbia, and Temple. Anyway, okay. So back to the basics. Simeon's dying. I don't hate that either. Again, offensive coordinator C.J. Stroud. I think that's a good. He has a few weapons, but
how many chances are the Colts going to get at a generational quarterback talent before it actually pays off?
Whenever their owner sells the team.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the only common
because they had
denominator,
Peyton. They had Peyton Manning, and they only got one Super Bowl out of it. Right?
They had Peyton Manning. They got one Super Bowl out of it.
And then they had Andrew Luck, and they just let him get absolutely...
So, what's the common denominator there?
What's a war term behind a crappy offensive line?
Battered. You're looking for battered.
Sure. He just got battered behind
Assaulted.
a terrible offensive line on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
They made him retire at 29.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I can't disagree with you. The only common denominator is the owners, and I forget their names. It was
the Ursays.
The Ursays, yeah. It's the only common denominator, and I don't know why Jerry Jones is able to do it. Now, granted, he hasn't been able to get his team over the hill, but in today's day and age, you don't need to get your team over the hill when they're always in competition. Like, yes, the fan base wants you to, but for the brand, I don't give a crap. If you're hitting B pluses, that's great. Keep
Well,
going.
that's why I kind of always giggle at the fact that everyone thinks that the NFL's scripted, right? And so they're like, the NFL's so scripted and so rigged. I said, if the NFL was so scripted and so rigged, how come the Cowboys haven't sniffed the Super Bowl in a quarter of a century?
Yeah.
Like the biggest brand. The Cowboys are the most valuable franchise sports team in the world.
Debatable, but yeah.
Not debatable. In the world.
Okay, well, you have both the Yankees and you have to think Real Madrid and one of the
Congratulations.
London teams.
Those are 2 and 3. You know how valuable the Cowboys are?
Oh, now we have to look it up.
$8.5 billion.
Most valuable
Go ahead. Everyone, you ready for this?
sports franchises in the world.
Here we go.
This is Forbes. Is 2022 September 2022 okay? All right,
100%.
awesome.
It's the most recent one.
$8 billion. So good job.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
Yep.
Can I have a effing list? Wow.
Real
they've gone
Madrid's on there. They're 3 or something like that.
Oh, okay. You're 100% correct. Now, this is American, but yeah. Dear Lord. So $8 billion. They've gone up 67%. They're number 1.
Yep.
Jerry Jones paid a measly $150 million for them in 1989.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ridiculous.
New England Patriots is number 2,
Okay.
which is fair. I don't agree with this. Los Angeles Rams. This is biased. What? There's no way the Cronkies, the Yankees, number 4, the Giants. What? Number 6?
Dude,
The
NFL
Knicks,
teams,
the Bears,
teams
the
are
Warriors, the Commanders, the Lakers, the Jets, the 49ers, Real Madrid 5.1. They would not sell for that. At 13. Now, the reason that they're low is because they're owned still by the club members. Barcelona's at 15. Eagles are at 16. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Manchester United, the Glazers own Manchester United for 4.6. Liverpool is the same people who own the Red Sox, who I'm sure somewhere up on this
The
list.
Fenway
above.
Group, yeah.
The Fenway Group values them at $6 billion,
Yeah.
which by their calculations puts them in 4th place.
Right. Like, so you know when the World Cup was happening and you saw all those things on the internet about how if soccer was the number 1 sport that America America would dominate everything.
Yeah.
100% true. Because of how valuable our NFL franchises are, who only really get viewership, let's be honest, within America.
Yeah.
If all those athletes played soccer instead, that imagine LeBron James.
He'd be a center back, 6'6" center
Yeah,
back.
6 foot 8.
225. 6'8", sorry.
Imagine Messi trying to dribble around like a LeBron James. LeBron James would just put his forearm out and he would fall over.
He has very quick hips. Very quick hips.
Who?
LeBron James.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He's silky smooth. He would have been a shutdown center back. Ja Morant on the wing? Are you kidding me?
Right, yeah. Like imagine Russell Westbrook as your striker just sprinting down the field and you trying
you don't
to keep
need
up
Russell
with
Westbrook. Someone we shit on in the earlier part of the podcast, Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah, Kyler Murray.
The dude with the quickness?
He's one. Yeah.
He would have 40 goals a season.
Oh, probably. Yeah. It's amazing that why America lives in its own little bubble and we have inflated egos. There are things that make us think that way. There are things that point in that direction, right?
So, the McCaskey family in 1920 paid $100 what for the Chicago Bears? Do you actually think it was $100
In 1920?
in 1920?
Yeah, probably 100,000 maybe. Does it just say 100?
It just says 100. Normally, if it's a mil, it's like MIL afterwards.
All right, I'll Google it right now. How
I can.
much?
Okay, I could ask that question. All right. Well, while he Googles that, we're gonna go back over here. Also, a little piece of history: the McCaskies, J.P. McCaskey was an early educator in Lancaster City, and his direct descendants are the Chicago McCaskies.
George Halas, one of the founders of in 1920, George Halas, one of the founders of the NFL, paid $100 to purchase the Chicago Bears from A.E. Stanley. Almost a century later, ownership hasn't changed as Halas eventually passed his reins down to his daughter. Today, the team is worth, this is according to Bleacher Report, $1.3 billion.
Forbes puts it at 5.8.
Making that 100 among the most profitable ever spent.
I saw something that was interesting. The Bears...
That was in 2014. So in 8 years, it's gone from $1.4 billion to how much? 5 something?
5.8, yeah. In
There
the
it
last
is.
5 years, it's gone up 104%. The Bears, the last time they had a 400-yard passing game, you want to take a guess?
1996.
Close, 99.
Oh,
They have
I
never
was
had a
right.
quarterback that has thrown for more than, I think it's either 30 or 40 touchdowns in a season. They are the worst team. Guys, you feel bad for the Indianapolis Colts. Realize how bad. Before Justin Fields, which should give every Bears fans hope. Now, we think of the Browns as having the worst quarterback.
Oh, for sure. Mhm.
Right? But they've just also had the worst teams in general.
Uh-huh.
Right? Just
Agreed.
horrible mismanagement. But the Bears have had some pretty good teams.
Yep.
But before Justin Fields and before Mitchell Trubisky and Jay Cutler, who was the last Bears quarterback that you actually remember?
Rex Grossman.
Interesting.
In 08, so the Bears made the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning. This was back when defenses could carry you, right?
Yeah.
Before the
Remember, it was the
2010s.
sparkly Fox logos.
Right, yeah. But before the 2010s came around and quarterbacking and athleticism on the perimeter took over, right?
Yep.
Rex Grossman went in against a Monday night game against the Cardinals. He threw 4 interceptions and turned the ball over 7 times. And the Bears won because Devin Hester, as a rookie, returned 8 touchdowns for 8 kick returns for touchdowns, whether that being punt or kickoff returns. And the defense had a pick 6.
In the Super Bowl?
No. That was just a random Monday night game that year.
Oh.
Yeah, and then Rex Grossman somehow found it. This is a Bears team that beat Drew Brees and rookie Reggie Bush. On their way to the
prime
Super
Reggie
Bowl.
Bush.
And then Hester in that Super Bowl took back the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and it's 7-0. And that game was close until late in the fourth quarter against Peyton Manning. Rex Grossman almost has a Super Bowl ring. Almost.
Cracks me the F up. Seattle Seahawks, Tyree Wilson, number 5.
I don't know where Tyree Wilson
Texas
comes
Tech.
from. What is he? Defensive
An
end?
edge.
Oh, an edge? Okay. All right. Well, Seattle has a couple first-round picks, so yeah, I'm down. I'm fine with it.
Obviously, they're probably going to pay Geno Smith, and hopefully their offensive... No.
Well, you're in this position now. Do you trade Geno Smith and some of those those first-round draft picks and second round you just got for Russell Wilson, and you move up and you take someone like Bryce Young?
It's possible.
Right?
If I was them, no. I would take, great example, number 7. I'll come back to 6. Well, 6 is Miles Murphy. Isn't that the guy you were talking about earlier?
He's from Clemson. Yes, he's
He's from
defensive
Clemson
lineman.
edge. They want to add someone else against Aiden Hutchinson, who was still a pretty big beast. Did a lot of good work. That defense is still... They need more DB help on that defense than edge. Edge
well,
help.
they gave up a lot of points, yeah.
Will Levis, number 6, going
he is very much in the same category as Josh Allen, as he has all the physical attributes, whether that be running and throwing. The problem is at Kentucky, whether it was the system this previous year, whether it was lack of weapons, whatever it was, he just did not look good. And I have never been impressed with Will Levis, but whenever I say that about a quarterback, they just absolutely ball out. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if we were doing the podcast that I remember telling people, I was like, he throws way too many interceptions. I don't get it.
He's been in the league for like 5 years now. You know that, right?
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
We started doing this podcast. This will be year 3. That will be going 3 into 4 in August.
It'll be 4 in August, right?
We'll start our 4th year in August.
Damn.
Yeah. So some offensive line, some offensive tackle going at 8.
So that is me saying that Will Levis is going to be amazing. That's all that means. Yeah.
I would try to keep Geno. Yeah, you're going to pay him. I'm not going to give him 20. He's not worth 20 to me. If he wants 20, bye. See ya. He's worth like 17 or 18 to me. I think that's roughly like upper mid for quarterbacks right now.
But see, like Geno's what, 31? Like you got what, max 3 more years?
That's why I want to bring in a guy like Will. I need someone who's good enough that if I, for some reason, needed him to start, I could. You're going to suck if you start Will Levis, but I'm giving you an example. But I want him to compete and push Geno so that he does not have a sophomore slump, basically.
Dude, I don't know. You got all that to move up to number 1 from 6 to 1. It would take your pick this year, and like
what?
2
for
other
Bryce
ones,
Young?
and you, yeah. Why?
Well, I guess you have
Bryce
Tyler
Young is
Lockett
clearly
and DK Metcalf to throw to.
Bryce Young is clearly the best quarterback prospect.
I don't think. You've talked me into this.
Okay, great.
And by that I mean I've talked myself into it.
Okay, great.
Atlanta Falcons taking a tackle from Northwestern. Nobody cares.
Skoronski, yeah, he's going to be a big beast. Yep.
Panthers taking Osiris Torrance from Florida, offensive guard.
Oh, okay, sure.
I guess. That is Frank Reich. I thought he was at the. Oh, I'm thinking
If
of
you're,
Doug Peterson.
Good luck in Carolina. Good luck.
Carolina, another team that just has a total.
What are you doing quarterback wise? You got to figure that out.
Well, it's not Baker Mayfield, that's for sure.
And not Baker
Paris
Mayfield.
Johnson Jr., the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, you got to replace. Lane Johnson is one more injury away from being like deuces.
Yeah, I mean you also have to think. No, great podcaster, but Jason Kelsey is also getting up there.
Yeah, he's a center though. So
yeah, I know, but
they already, as I told Robert, they already drafted his replacement last year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
yes. Jason Kelsey drafted his own replacement.
Kelsey drafted his own.
Yeah,
he announced the pick.
He went to Howie. No, he went to Howie Roseman. And he's like, you should take this guy because this guy's just like me.
Oh, nice.
And they're like, okay.
Broderick Jones, tackle the Titans. Yeah. You guys need some offensive line help. You think?
If I'm the Titans, so you just got rid of Taylor Lewan, who was your left tackle forever. You're probably getting rid of Henry.
Wait, is that the Michigan guy? Taylor Lewan?
Yes, it is. In a blockbuster trade, you're overpaying Tannehill. You got rid of A.J. Brown. You need offensive weapons to help, so you're just going to restart at tackle again? Not a fan.
Well, okay, I'm guessing their thought is they need to, the Titans must upgrade offensive line to resume playing bully ball with Derrick Henry's running
I
the
think,
rock.
honestly, you got 2 more good years of Derrick Henry, and then he's declined because he's going to be 29. You trade him, you get some more picks, or you get some more players.
You already have Michigan's, I've already forgotten his name. He's only been off the team 2 years. He's a proven running back who can run the ball way that you want. Hassan Haskins, who can run the ball like Derrick Henry runs the ball. He's not Derrick Henry. No one is Derrick Henry. Talk about someone who, if he was playing Derrick Henry in the middle of the field, distributing the ball and bodying dudes.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. Playing soccer. Yeah.
Playing soccer. Speaking of somebody. But here's the deal is, okay, So, where did Taylor Lewan go? I missed this.
He
Pops up on my feed all the time.
He's debating retirement, and he was going to be a big cap hit, so they just kind
I
of
thought
let
they
him go.
just extended him.
I don't know. Maybe.
All right.
I could see Taylor Lewan going somewhere for like a 1 year, try to get a Super Bowl ring. Like, honestly, if Lane Johnson was like deuces, I could see him going to Philadelphia and being like, yeah, I'll come in and play right tackle for you. So.
I mean, he's 31.
Or maybe he's got a podcast, so maybe he'll just do the podcast.
Well, that's one of one of
if you're
Barstool's
a
most
white,
popular podcast.
Yeah, if you're a white male, you probably have a podcast with Barstool Sports.
They do have a specific demographic, don't they?
They surely do.
And we're unfortunately in that one. Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC, Houston Texans, with the 12th pick via Cleveland.
Again, makes sense if you take a quarterback.
Right.
I would go, if I'm Houston, I'm going quarterback, wide receiver. Great. Move on.
Which is what they're doing.
No, they had him taking Will Anderson, didn't they?
No.
Oh, they had him taking Bryce Young.
They had him taking Bryce Young.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were taking Will Anderson.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. Brian Breesy?
That's who I'm talking about. Brian Breesy from Clemson.
New York Jets. That would actually be, that Jets defense is nasty. With Sauce Gardner.
This all depends on who they get for quarterback. If they go get Aaron Rodgers, which would be kind of full circle because of what happened with Brett Favre, right?
Yeah.
It would... that's the only way you take a defense. If
you
don't get Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, someone like that in free agency, you got to take a quarterback.
You have your 13th pick. If you're trading for Aaron Rodgers, that's at least 2 first rounders. This year's and next year's first round.
Is it though? What team's gonna Okay, for Derek Carr, absolutely. Derek Carr, sure. Aaron Rodgers at 38 years old. Aaron Rodgers flip. Okay, great. Go sign him. Wonderful. He's even cheaper because Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna give me a flip floppy, stoner who likes to live in the dark for a couple weeks a year. Get out of here. Like, if you don't know whether or not you're going to want to play football, then you're not going to want to play football in 2 years for a bad team.
Aaron Rodgers a free agent this year?
No, I think he's technically still under contract. Packers could trade him or just release him. Like, his contract is one of those.
Got it. It's more of like, okay, Brian Branch.
From Alabama?
Yeah, New England
The
Patriots
safety?
at number 14.
That fits because the Patriots don't know how to draft offense. All they do is know how to draft defense.
Which that offense needs help after Mac Jones had a really good rookie campaign. Christian Gonzalez.
Oh, we're just going to go through the whole first round.
Yeah,
the cornerback from...
We might as well. We're at 48 minutes. We might as well round this out.
Somewhere.
Oregon.
And where's he going?
Commanders.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta deal with...
Is that Heineke's team?
Good offenses. They just released Carson Wentz, so at this point, I mean, if you're the Commanders, do you go after Derek Carr?
I think he's actually been linked to the Eagles.
Who, Carson Wentz again? Yeah. To go be Jalen Hurts' backup. Talk about full circle.
Replace Joe Flacco, who I don't even know how he's in the league still. This would be a great pickup. All the Yinzers would come in their pants if Joey Porter Jr. went to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, indeed that they were. For those of you who don't know, Dad played middle linebacker. You got to see what Kenny Pickett's got.
Oh, that's right. They have Kenny Pickett. I forgot about that.
Kenny Pickett another year.
I agree. Wide receiver? Chase Claypool is not what he was cracked up to be.
Well... Yeah, is there another wide receiver near him?
I think the issue...
Quinton Williams? Maybe?
My favorite prospect coming out of this year, number 22.
Johnston. Oh, my goodness.
Dude, come on. It's even easier than that.
Who?
Jackson Smith and Jigba. 22 to the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't play this last year because of a hamstring injury.
But he was opposite Chris Olave last year?
2 years ago, but yeah.
Well, yeah,
He was
now
opposite.
Now 2 years ago.
He was opposite Marvin Harrison Jr.
Who was a beast. I get it. But, I mean, for the Ravens, it's a good pickup because they need someone else. They also just need a new team doctor because they just need to be healthy.
You need a new team doctor, and you need to decide if you're going to pay Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson he wants a fully guaranteed contract with Deshaun Watson. But Deshaun Watson wasn't worth the fully.
Deshaun Watson can go screw himself, which he clearly likes to do.
Yeah.
But what Browns? Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
That was the most Brownsiest move you can do. You do not pop the cherry, again, something else Deshaun Watson likes to do, Deshaun Watson. You do not do the fully guaranteed contract. Yes, the NBA has had a fully guaranteed contract for a little bit, right? Or am I thinking of the no trade clause? It's basically the same thing. Has had it for forever.
Would you give Patrick Mahomes a fully guaranteed?
Yes. Patrick Mahomes is worth a fully guaranteed contract.
Is there any other player?
No.
Exactly. Okay, so me and Robert
maybe
were
Derrick
having this
Henry 4 years ago for a 4-year contract.
Me and Robert were having this debate at work, and everyone else was like, "No, you don't give him because he gets his ankle rolled up one time, and there goes your investment." Guess what? You don't give him the fully guaranteed contract. There goes your investment. Either way, you're up a creek without a paddle.
He's worth you extend that sucker for as long as possible and backfill the contract, right?
100%.
That's for anybody who doesn't know how that works. That's how these fully guaranteed contracts and any large contract works. They backfill the contract. They push the money off down the road because worst comes to worst, they take a $15 million cap hit at the end and they trade the player, or the player retires. The fully guaranteed kind of throws it off because it's fully guaranteed, but there's money. They move money around so much. He's the only player, not Josh Allen, not Lamar Jackson. Lamar, no. You're a great talent, and you've proved a lot of people wrong, but you still haven't proved everybody wrong because you haven't been healthy enough, and your teammates haven't been healthy enough to actually show anything.
The Ravens even offered him a $250 million contract with $133 guaranteed, and he said no.
I forgot about that.
So they offered him the full length of the contract, but Lamar Jackson hasn't finished the season healthy.
Dude, if you're in, what is that, 9 figures, 10 figures? If you're in a 10-figure, that's FU money. And I know I've been swearing on and off in this episode, but I'm trying to keep it at least semi-clean. That's FU money.
Yeah, at 9 figures, yeah.
Why do you Deshaun Watson got paid because who knows?
Because the Browns are desperate. That's the only reason he got paid.
The Browns have been desperate since they left for Baltimore and then got reincarnated.
So their record was what it was under Baker Mayfield. They paid a whole lot more for their record to be like the exact same.
Well, that just goes to show you that it wasn't a quarterback issue in
it's a personnel issue. Absolutely.
It's I don't even know who the owner is, but anyway, Davion Witherspoon to the Lions, another cornerback where they actually need help at.
Yep.
Illinois.
Yep.
Keon White, I'm assuming is how you pronounce that.
The linebacker from LSU.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another defensive back, Keelan Ringo.
Oh, Keely Ringo.
Keely. There's no O-N in there. It's Keely Ringo, which is a good. Okay, that's a pretty good name. Like a 6, high 6, high 7.
Yeah. It's a good name. The problem is Marvin Harrison Jr. just did until he left that game in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Against Georgia, Keely Ringo was not a factor at all.
Well, okay, let's just stop for a moment and realize that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent.
But that's how you have to look at first round picks.
Continues to keep going. I understand that's how you have to look at first round picks. First round picks the joke would be first round picks are like picking wives. You're gonna hit some of them. You're not gonna hit the others. And I don't mean like physically hit. Like actually, you're gonna like hit on some. You're not gonna hit the others. That'd be like the 1960s stand-up comedian joke.
Yeah.
Like they do. Sometimes they work. You gotta look. You can't. Marvin Harrison Jr. It would be if his trajectory keeps going is worth a fully guaranteed contract.
I mean, he's been pretty impressive so far in college. Again, I want to see what he does again
he's
this
a
year.
Sophomore?
Yeah, so he'll be a junior. So, does he have the motor? Does he not? Is he the work ethic? It's the whole big thing how I started
this
show.
is the great thing, right? Because his dad is Marvin Harrison, that means he has a solid foundation that he's built off of. Most likely.
You would think.
So, and the fact that he's shown as much as he has. The reason I'm going to say this is from the backstory, from a 30,000-foot view, that's the type of anybody to hit, it's that guy.
Okay, sure.
Right? The Ray Lewis is the other half of the guys who hit. The guys that came out of, which, we see the exact opposite of Ray Lewis in A.J. Brown. Not A.J. Brown. Dear Lord. Dude played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Raiders and the Steelers. What is his name?
Oh, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
There it is. You
Yeah.
got one half of the name right.
I got the starting initial correct.
Yeah,
too.
you got the starting initial right. Absolutely.
Right. The exact opposite, right? Came
Right.
up, had nothing. Antonio, different person, attitude issues. Ray Lewis, grinded.
Oh, there's no way also Antonio Brown doesn't have CTE. Oh, my goodness.
There's no way that Ray Lewis doesn't have CTE.
Then Antonio Brown's is fast progress. I mean, or he's bipolar at the very least.
He has something going on, and I feel bad for him.
Oh,
And I'm not saying
correct.
for everybody for the rape allegations or the murder allegations for Ray Lewis. Which one was it?
A murder for Ray Lewis.
Murder for Ray Lewis. It's Ben
Yep.
Roethlisberger, the rape allegation.
Bingo. There we go.
Los Angeles Charter, Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, running back to replace Austin Eckler. I would go offensive tackle to protect Justin Herbert or wide receiver.
You saw regression in Justin Herbert. So what do you give him? You give him wide receiver help or you give him offensive help? Because I agree with you.
I give him offensive tackle help. I give him offensive line help.
JSN for the Baltimore Ravens. Again, you have all the pieces there. They have to be healthy, and your defense has to hold up. And Lamar Jackson, you got to figure out. Either decide, don't give him the fully guaranteed contract. That's all I'm saying. Try to put that genie back in the bottle. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the genie's out of the bottle. Emmanuel Forbes.
From where?
I was seeing if you knew. This is Micaiah. It's a college football quiz for you. That's what
I know
do.
it's a college football quiz. I don't know the answer. What's the answer?
The Mississippi State University.
Yeah, because I watched so much Mississippi State University.
Who was the head coach
last
of
year.
Mississippi State?
Mike Leach. I know the head coach. I don't know Emmanuel Forbes.
Minnesota Vikings cornerback.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, Dalton Kincaid.
The tight end from Utah.
So you know the white guys, but you don't know the black guys.
Sure. Yep, that's it. You got it.
Jacksonville Jaguars at pick 24.
Tight end. Give Trevor Lawrence some help. Not bad.
That's exactly what it said. Zay Flowers.
The wide receiver from Boston College.
Pick 25.
So who?
New York Giants.
Yeah, don't hate that. Yeah, give some Daniel Jones some help. Who wants
question.
$45 million? Get out of here, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, you're not worth it. So that goes to show. Okay, so yeah, so Geno Smith to me is worth 25. Then, if that's where if we're in the 40s now, we were 25 million a year 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
When did we double salaries? Did I miss a salary cap increase?
No, well, you have, but not that much. It's when teams started realizing that Rex Grossman won't win you Super Bowls. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that's fair. This is an interesting one. At pick 26, Quentin Johnston.
Yep. To who?
We know to the Cowboys. which is roughly what they need. My question is, yes, there are question marks on Quentin Johnston's game. We watched him play quite a few times. Great athlete, big dude, Devontae Adams-esque in a way, but the question is, Steve Smith on his podcast said it great. He's hot and warm in a game.
Well, it's the same thing with Jalen Carter. So the Cowboys are going to go for flashy, and flashy right now is offense. So they're going to go to someone who is opposite CeeDee Lamb.
The question is, I don't think
it doesn't matter anyway who they pick. Dak Prescott has to stop throwing interceptions.
Well, 100%. And I'm not quite so sure. I don't know where his contract is. You guys might think you might want to move on. My question with Quinn, he could be if he's developed correctly and if he wants it, Hall of Famer, no question.
Top he could
5.
be a DeAndre Hopkins, sure.
100%.
Sure, the potential is there for Quentin Johnston. It's just whether or not he's going to do anything with it.
The thing is, when you're hot or cold, it's consistency. How do you teach yourself consistency?
Sure,
right?
But he was also in the air raid system. So sometimes his route was you run a go 3 straight times, and the ball's not coming your way no matter what.
100%. And sometimes he can make an incredible play, and sometimes he couldn't. He's not necessarily the best route runner in the world, but you don't need that. Not everybody is a great route runner, and also routes can be taught. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah,
people treat route running like it's some sort of natural ability that you have that the gods have blessed you with.
Right. I just think Quentin Giant, he's good after the catch. He's got good speed, and he's good in the air, in spatial ability, and he has good hands. Going for 50-50 balls. So as long as that's what you use him for his first couple years in the league, he'll be fine.
Buffalo Bills pick 27, Antonio Johnson.
I have no idea.
Yeah, you won it. Texas A&M safety.
Oh, okay.
He's a junior.
I would try to get a running back or some offensive line help that lets you run the football, but okay.
Cam Smith, Cincinnati Bengals.
Tackle? Guard?
Cornerback.
Oh, okay.
South Carolina. And a pick that has been around more hands than your mother. Number 29, the New Orleans Saints, Jamar Gibbs.
Running back out of Alabama. Not bad. He's basically Alvin Kamara. So they're just looking to replace Alvin Kamara.
Which I agree. If the Buffalo Bills... Is Alvin Kamara gone?
No, but he's probably going to prison.
I know he's an injury risk.
Well, and he's probably going to prison because he beat someone at the Pro Bowl.
I forgot about that.
2 years ago.
Guys,
a year ago.
I don't pay attention to the NFL. I just don't. So... It just doesn't happen. Eagles, Luke Van Ness.
Linebacker?
Edge, Iowa. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a big mofo. He's a big white
He's a
mofo.
corn-fed boy.
Yeah.
He's a redshirt sophomore.
Oh, yeah, he's big.
So he's eligible, but
And he's at Iowa, so he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's going to be J.J. Watt. That's who he's gonna be.
He's from Illinois too.
He's J.J. Watt. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Where is
Mark
this?
it down?
I think he is a corn-fed boy.
Mark it down. 7:56, March 3rd, 2023.
Oh dear Lord, it's almost 8 o'clock.
Luke Van Ness.
Jalen Hyatt.
To where? The
Chiefs.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, again, so here's the thing with these receivers, quarterbacks coming out of these air raid type systems that Jalen Hyatt was at Tennessee. Are you just going to use him to run go balls and run after catches and kind of slants and goes? Because he's going to be really good at that, but the uniqueness of route running and finding zones, soft spots in zones and things like that. I mean, Jalen Hyatt had a lot of wide open touchdowns. I don't hate it because if you're going to pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million over 10 years, you always make sure Patrick Mahomes has someone to throw the ball to. And what they miss is they miss that burner on the outside. And you can basically get a tad slower Tyreek Hill, except about 7 inches taller. So why not?
I don't hate it. I would say the Juju Smith-Schuster, at least in the playoffs, and in the second half of the Super Bowl, filled the shoes.
I mean, sure, he was fine, but Jalen Hyatt also is cheap.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. But also when you have one of the greatest tight ends, at least offensive threat tight ends of all times.
And he's going to start to decline, so you got to figure that out.
100%. But luckily, hopefully you draft the Dallas Goedert to your Zach Ertz and the Zach Ertz to your Brent Selleck.
Sure.
And you go from there. All right. I didn't realize it was 8. We're wrapping this sucker up. This has been the 4th and 1 podcast. Thanks for BSing with us. We'll see you guys when we see you guys. We're probably just going to chill, until we get fun and college football comes back.
Wash your hands, you filthy animals. God bless. Peace out.